Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into a really fascinating engineering analysis that uncovers what might just be Tesla's true hidden superpower. You know, we hear so much about their cars, the crazy radical design of the Cybertruck, the self-driving tech, but the source material we're looking at today points to something much, much deeper. It actually points to this unified, almost alien-grade system quietly humming in the background, a system known internally as Tesla One.
So if I asked you right now to name Tesla's biggest competitive moat, what comes to mind? Right, you probably immediately think of their massive battery production, or maybe those sprawling, ultra-modern gigafactories. But the source argues incredibly compellingly that it's actually none of those physical things. Instead, it's the invisible software architecture that's actually building the cars.
And that brings us to a really core philosophy at the company, famously stated by Elon Musk: your boss is data. Now sure, it sounds like a simple tech mantra, but according to the analysis, this one idea fundamentally changed how the entire company operates. It paved the way for this massive, relentless optimization engine that connects every single facet of their manufacturing process. It essentially ensures that pure data, not human ego, not corporate guesswork, drives literally every single decision. To put the sheer value of organizing data like this into perspective, let's look at a company like Palantir. The source notes that Palantir is valued at a staggering $180 billion, pretty much just for bringing order to chaotic data across isolated government and corporate silos. What the analysis realized is that Tesla quietly built something incredibly similar years ago. Only instead of just connecting spreadsheets and software, Tesla connected the physical world itself. We're talking the actual factories, the precise movements of the robots, and the entire global fleet of cars.
All right, let's look at the anatomical breakdown of this living, digital organism piece by piece. We'll cover 1. The central nervous system. 2. Perfect digital memory. 3. The death of managers. And 4. The master brain.
Starting with Part 1, the central nervous system and the creation of the Warp ERP. This first layer was built all the way back in 2012, which was a huge defining moment because Tesla completely rejected the off-the-shelf software standard used by the rest of the auto industry. Think about the standard playbook for a legacy automaker. They'll spend 18 months or more just to customize something like SAP, and that usually leaves their sales, R&D, and manufacturing data trapped in completely disconnected silos. Tesla, on the other hand, they had a small team custom build their own system, named Warp, in just 3 to 4 months. This created a unified, real-time data fabric across the whole company, meaning design changes can deploy in a matter of days rather than years.
So according to the analysis, this custom backbone gives Tesla just enormous advantages. First off, zero massive software licensing costs. Plus, they have infinite customization potential because they literally own the code outright. By using a real-time event streaming bus, you can think of it like a super-fast digital nervous system, and giving every single part and vehicle a unique ID or digital fingerprint, the whole system stays perfectly synchronized. The source explains that if a supply chain hiccups even a little bit, or a part changes, the factory systems just adjust automatically in real time.
Moving right along to Part 2, perfect digital memory. This is the DSM-1, or Digital System Model. Well, a nervous system needs a memory to actually learn, right? At Tesla, this digital twin acts as this ever-growing repository of exact historical knowledge. The source explains that a car's digital twin follows a single continuous timeline. It starts as designed, with your standard CAD sketches and engineering simulations. But then it becomes as built on the factory floor, logging exactly which specific robot installed which part, right down to the exact torque applied on a single bolt. Finally, it transitions to as deployed, where it's constantly absorbing real-world telemetry, physical stress, and driving data from actual roads.
Legacy systems, on the other hand, just totally isolate this data. Their factory system doesn't seamlessly talk to the field service system. But Tesla's unified timeline allows them to ask completely unprecedented questions. Imagine being able to trace a slight, real-world steering issue in your driveway all the way back to a specific robot calibration on the factory floor from months ago. That unified data can potentially predict and prevent factory robot failures before they ever happen. I mean, that alone saves millions.
But hey, memory alone doesn't actually make decisions. Something has to act on all that data. Which brings us to Part 3, the death of managers, or DSM-2, digital self-management. In a normal company, your manager hands you a task, but Tesla uses what industry expert Joe Justice calls justice boards right on the factory floor. These are literal giant displays where products are broken down into independent modules with highly specific key performance indicators. Engineers look at these boards, see the real-world goals, like, say, shaving exactly 1 single gram off a battery pack, squeezing €1 penny out of motor costs, or shaving 1 second off heat pump assembly. And they self-select the exact highest impact KPI they want to tackle that very day.
And this perfectly illustrates their workflow, which they actually call mobbing. Engineers pick a KPI, self-organize around the problem, pulling in manufacturing experts, quality specialists, software developers, whoever they need, and they just bypass corporate bureaucracy entirely. They use AI tools to physically map out the manufacturing steps, automate the new production process, and immediately deploy the solution. No waiting around for committee approvals.
The analysis draws a really sharp contrast here. In a traditional hierarchy, let's be honest, people are often just optimizing for their boss's approval, right? They're navigating endless office politics while information gets filtered and innovation slows to an absolute crawl. Digital self-management, however, relies directly on the data to authorize instant decisions. It aligns your personal effort immediately with real-world outcomes, meaning the mission itself becomes the motivation, completely cutting out the drag of corporate middle management.
Finally, we reach the brain, tying this whole thing together. Part 4. The Master Brain, Yoda AI and Mob AI.
You know that Malcolm Gladwell rule, right? The one that says it takes 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to master a skill? Well, the source points out that Tesla's internal AI passed 10,000 hours years ago. This master brain has observed millions of actual human engineering hours, compressing them into a single continuous learning system across every single component of the cars.
The analysis highlights a really crucial distinction here. Instead of just sitting at a desk drawing a static 3D CAD model, Tesla engineers actually map out and animate the physical production steps to build a part. They are literally melting plastic and bending metal on the line. By doing this, they're feeding pristine, structured, real-world manufacturing data directly into the AI. As the quote points out, you only learn by building, not by drawing.
Because of this constant feeding of structured data, the AI isn't just some static database. It actually becomes an active team member, Mob AI. It actively learns from the humans. When a breakthrough happens in the Fremont factory or a cold weather failure occurs over in Norway, the AI learns it instantly. It develops a genuine, data-backed intuition for physics, materials, and manufacturing costs, making that wisdom instantly available to the entire global organization overnight.
So bringing all of this together, the real-time data fabric, the perfect memory, the self-managing engineers, and the master AI leads us to our final takeaway, the unfair advantage. A quasi-monopoly position?
The source ultimately concludes that Tesla's true moat isn't actually its physical factories. It is this accumulated, compounded wisdom and embodied intelligence. Think about it. Legacy companies are literally just starting to structure their internal AI and digital twin systems right now, in 2024 and 2025. Tesla, however, has well over a decade of verified structured production data. Because the entire company acts as a single learning organism, competitors aren't just facing a technology gap anymore, they are facing a compounding experience gap that just grows wider every single day.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating provocation to chew on. As competitors scramble to build their own internal nervous systems and AI masterbrains, we have to ask, is a decade-long, continuously compounding data head start truly insurmountable? Can traditional companies actually adapt to move at this kind of speed, or has Tesla's alien machine fundamentally changed the rules of manufacturing forever? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.